Initially, Lucas had thought he was overreacting to a situation that might not have been significant. However, as he stood studying Lady Liberty's lifted foot, it became clear that the reality was much more serious than he had first believed. The local authorities had already been notified and were en route to the scene, while the backup he had requested was also on its way. Would all of them ever track down the perpetrator? That question loomed heavily in his mind. Lucas Duncan had been working as a guard for the Statue of Liberty for a decade, a role that had instilled in him a deep understanding of her history and significance. He dedicated himself to protecting the statue with integrity, committed to his oath to keep her safe from any harm. He was often praised as the best guard the lady had ever had, not merely as a compliment, but as a testament to his unwavering devotion to the job. Lucas had an uncanny ability to notice even the slightest changes around her, and could detect if something was amiss at a moment's glance. But one fateful day, everything changed. Throughout his long career, Lucas had come to learn every intricate detail about Liberty. While her meaning and origins were well known, there were secrets embedded within her structure that only those who studied her closely would recognize. A select few understood the significance of these hidden messages. As he patrolled the area, he often overheard young visitors, particularly girls, pointing at the statue's crown, excitedly describing it as a collection of oversized diamonds. Lucas remained silent during these conversations, knowing the truth, that the elongated points represented beams of light radiating across the world. There were even more mysteries that required deeper explanations. For instance, affixed to the lady's left foot was a broken chain, a detail that many visitors overlooked. This chain symbolized liberation from slavery, representing a powerful statement in itself, yet her right foot contained a significant and subtler message that often went unnoticed. Liberty's right foot was raised higher than the left, signifying the ongoing pursuit of true freedom. However, on that particular day, Lucas spotted something unusual on that elevated foot, a sight he had never noticed before. This would initiate an elaborate investigation, one that would not only involve Liberty's dedicated guards, but also the police. To Lucas's knowledge, he had memorized every curve, dent, imperfection, and piece of lore associated with Lady Liberty. Yet this sight was foreign to him, clearly visible from a distance. What could have happened to her foot that warranted such concern? This question ignited the beginning of an unexpected saga. That morning, like any other, Lucas had arrived at work. He took over from the night guard, clocking in and diving into the usual routine, circling the statue once an hour, while monitoring security footage during the rest of the time. At first, everything seemed normal. However, as Lucas approached the base of the statue, he noticed something that appeared out of place. To the average person, this small detail might have gone unnoticed, but Lucas, with his decade of experience, could instantly sense that something was wrong. The detail he identified was subtle, but he was certain that a darker hue had overshadowed the statue's usual blue-green color. Unsatisfied with his distant observation, he knew he had to get a closer look. He leaned over the railing, using his binoculars to confirm his suspicions. Indeed, something had been done to Liberty's foot, but was it a new alteration, or had time revealed yet another secret? Unsure, he decided to descend and investigate further. Lucas hurried down the stairs, bursting through the staff door leading to Liberty's feet. As he examined the situation more closely, he realized he needed to alert the authorities immediately. With urgency, he dialed the local police, explaining the bizarre situation he had encountered. But he had one more call to make. He quickly punched in the numbers for Kevin, his colleague. Kevin picked up after several rings. "Don't you have something better to do?" he asked half-jokingly. "I need you and your crew down by her feet pronto. Something awful has happened, and you'll need to fix her up," Lucas insisted. After a moment of hesitation, Kevin sighed but agreed to come. When Kevin arrived, he surveyed the situation and was equally stunned. This was unprecedented. Nobody had witnessed anything like this before, and fixing it would not be a straightforward task. It was evident that the statue needed a thorough cleaning to address the issue at hand. Initially, when Lucas had spotted the oddity, he had hoped it was merely another of Liberty's secret messages, a discovery that would have been thrilling. However, what he found had nothing to do with the lady or her creators. Instead, it was a message left behind by criminals, vandals, who had somehow evaded the guards and security cameras. managing to sneak up to the statue's foot undetected. How was that possible? How could they have slipped through every security measure in place, remaining hidden for such an extended period? The message they left was lengthy and intricate. It would have taken no less than 30 minutes to complete. But what were they trying to communicate, and why on Lady Liberty's foot? The vandals had inscribed the words, "America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. Abraham Lincoln." Lucas shook his head in disbelief, realizing how misguided the vandals were. The former president had never uttered those exact words. He had made several similar statements, but the vandals had misquoted him. The true quote from Abraham Lincoln was, "It cannot come from abroad." If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. This fundamental misunderstanding revealed how far the criminals had strayed from Lincoln's original intent, which spoke of freedom from foreign control. Naturally, an investigation was launched as soon as the authorities arrived. Vandalism was a serious offense, and those responsible needed to face consequences. But would this group of vandals be caught? Only time would tell. The authorities collected as much evidence as possible before returning to their station to begin the investigation. Lucas and his fellow guards knew that their primary duty was to protect Lady Liberty. They had experienced a lapse in security, but it would not happen again. As the leader of the security team, Lucas took immediate action to reinforce their protocols. They reconfigured security cameras to monitor every conceivable angle and increased the frequency and size of patrols. Now, 2 guards would be assigned to every shift, determined to prevent any further incidents. However, Lucas couldn't shake the nagging worry. Would these measures be sufficient to deter the vandals? This was merely the beginning of a troubling saga. With the perpetrators still at large, there was a strong likelihood they would attempt another attack. The thought of these criminals returning filled Lucas with dread. They had already made headlines. Why wouldn't they strike again? He wrestled with guilt over failing Liberty and his colleagues. While he understood that preventing the act had been nearly impossible, the fact that the vandals had escaped undetected left him restless. Days turned into weeks, and Lucas struggled to sleep. He found himself consumed by thoughts of the incident and ruminated on what more could be done to avert another attack. His patience began to wear thin. Despite the heightened security, the police had yet to uncover any significant clues. The following day, Lucas arrived at work and settled in to review the security footage from the day of the incident. It was a tedious process, but he hoped to find something the authorities had missed. After hours of scrutinizing the footage, he spotted an anomaly. The stairwell camera had been obscured just before the end of visiting hours. But what bothered Lucas most was what happened just before it went dark. He recognized the area, right by the staff door leading to Lady Liberty's foot. Rushing over to that spot, he found the camera was no longer covered, but a large dry piece of gum lay below it. Without wasting a moment, Lucas picked it up and sent it to the detective overseeing the case. He instructed increased patrols around the area in the hopes of uncovering additional clues. In the days that followed, Lucas led these patrols, particularly during peak visiting hours. On his first round, he spotted a gum wrapper fluttering in the wind. Initially, he dismissed it as just another piece of litter, but when he saw it again the next day and the day after, he began to suspect a connection between the vandalism and the wrapper. What were the odds of seeing the same unusual brand of gum every day? It couldn't be mere coincidence. This realization prompted even more questions. Were the vandals mocking him? Why leave behind clues? And why had they targeted Liberty instead of another location? Lucas entertained the idea that his friends could be playing a prank on him. They often teased him about his unwavering dedication to the job. However, the frequency of the rappers made it hard to dismiss as a joke. Burdened by these uncertainties, Lucas returned to the security footage, meticulously tracking the days and times he found the rapper. If he could pinpoint a pattern, he might uncover who had been present during those times. After countless hours of watching video, he found nothing. A frustrating outcome. No one was seen unwrapping a piece of gum, nor had he spotted the same person more than once. It felt as if he were chasing shadows. But then, on his patrol the following day, Lucas spotted the familiar gum wrapper again. only this time it was stuck to the ground. Below it was a piece of gum that appeared to have been pressed down forcefully. Without hesitation, Lucas contacted the detective, feeling a surge of hope that this might be the break they had been waiting for. The detective arrived promptly and examined the wrapper, confirming it was indeed the same brand of gum associated with the vandals. "Can you secure the area?" he asked Lucas. "We'll need to gather more evidence." Lucas secured the perimeter, determined to prevent anyone from disturbing the scene. The detectives' team arrived shortly after, and they carefully collected the gum wrapper and surrounding debris for analysis. In the following days, the police managed to trace the gum brand back to a local convenience store, one frequented by teenagers in the neighborhood. This led them to identify 4 teenagers who had purchased the gum daily for weeks leading up to the incident. The police obtained surveillance footage from the store, and as Lucas watched the clips, his heart raced. The teenagers appeared oblivious to the consequences of their actions, laughing and joking among themselves, yet there was something unsettling about them. It turned out these teens were notorious for causing trouble around the area, and their actions extended beyond vandalism. They had previously faced several charges but had always slipped through the cracks due to their young age. Lucas felt an overwhelming sense of relief when the authorities finally connected these teenagers to multiple vandalism cases throughout the city. As he stood by, listening to the chatter among the detectives and officers, Lucas realized that they now had the evidence needed to ensure that those responsible for Liberty's Foot would face justice. But even as he celebrated this small victory, a part of him remained wary, wondering if they would truly deter these vandals for good. With a clearer picture of the suspects, Lucas's determination to protect Lady Liberty intensified. He and Kevin doubled their efforts, reinforcing security protocols and ensuring the area remained vigilant against future threats. It took time, but eventually they arrested the teenagers and charged them with multiple counts of vandalism. They faced the consequences of their actions in court, with the district attorney citing their prior offenses. Lucas felt a sense of vindication, though the lingering fear of their return remained. As the weeks turned into months, the incident faded from the headlines, but Lucas remained ever vigilant. The bond between the guards and the statue grew stronger, united by the shared experience of having faced a significant threat. Though the vandals had left their mark on Lady Liberty, they had also unwittingly forged a more robust commitment among those tasked with protecting her. Lucas knew the risks they faced, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to defend the symbol of freedom, reminding everyone that true liberty must be safeguarded for generations to come.